and everybody that lives around us, they said, why don't you tear that old lighthouse down? You see the big ships, they don't sail this way anymore, and there's no use in it standing round. But then my mind goes back to that stormy night when just in time I saw the light. It was the light from that old lighthouse, and it's standing there under the hill.
And I thank
God for the lighthouse, and I owe my life to Him.
King
Jesus is the lighthouse, and from the rocks of sin
He has
shone the light around me, so that I might clearly see.
if it
Wasn't for the lighthouse, where would this ship be?
Thank you to the Brownlee Gospel Singers, just heavenly, just beautiful. Now, what we've all been waiting for, the program highlights, and I'm delighted to introduce you to Ben Fox. Ben is a performer, designer and artistic director. Innovation is the hallmark of Ben's work. Ben has worked across Australia, Asia and Europe with people and groups to engage networks, develop cultures and change minds. From 2008 to 2011, he was the artistic director of Willara Creative in the very remote desert of Western Australia. Ben co-founded Meta Meta, is an alumni of the Australia Council for the Arts Emerging Leaders Development Program and is now artistic director of the Regional Arts Australia Summit Arts and Edges. Ben also tells me that he loves bikes, ideas and making. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big hand for Ben Fox, who will now announce the Arts and Edges program highlights.
Hello everybody, hello Kalgoorlie-Boulder, hello Australia, and hello Port Moresby. So I'm very happy today to be on Wongatha land in my hometown of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. And I'd like to invite you to step across the edge, to get a piece of the action and return with a vision of the arts. Every 2 years, the Regional Arts Australia Summit offers all of us a moment to pause, a time to think on sustainability, on futures and to share our successes. And this year, we will meet in the red dust, the wildflowers and the desert rock holes of outback Western Australia. In 2014, the summit is called Arts and Edges. Australians thrive on the edges of our country, but many of us also live and work away from the coastal fringe, in our nation's heart. Now this idea, what is at the centre? What is at the edges? And what are the possibilities? Is at the core of Arts and Edges. At the edge of anything, oceans, cultures, we find things changing, things merging, and some things staying exactly the same. In Arts and Edges, this idea is explored with 3 topics: fulcrum, flux, and flow. A fulcrum is that point on which a lever pivots. Now, this is about current realities for regional communities. It's the solid ground that we're all standing on as we reach for the future. And it's about how to leverage an idea in reality and to raise bridges across divides. Flux refers to the many significant changes which are happening in our towns and our communities. Things are uncertain, things are moving, and change is our only constant. So all we can ask is, what's happening? What are the possibilities here? And flow. Flow is about the movement of things, of people, of culture, of information. It's a hopeful topic. It's a chance to think in terms of rivers, in terms of streams and changes across time. And creative people across the country are keeping on finding ways in which to thrive. So to spark up the fire of these ideas, we have invited leading artists, thinkers and community innovators to share their approaches and to work with us. And I'm delighted to be able to announce our program highlights. To start us off, the opening spectacular will be directed by the wonderful Thika von Ziano of Carnarvon. This will include an Aboriginal welcome, food theatre with Don Hansey, musical performances and opportunities for meeting people. Right away, we will be part of a rich and a distinct experience. Our keynotes here are an inspiring mix of leaders with diverse practice and deep specialities. We have Brian Ritchie. He's the curator of Hobart's edgy annual contemporary music festival, Mona Foma. Brian will be a keynote at Arts and Edges and will invigorate us with his first-hand account of the arts, boosting Australia and Tasmania specifically as a world-class cultural destination. And our special guests from Jogjakarta, we have Iwan Effendi and Maria Tri Sulistiani of Paper Moon Theatre. They're one of Indonesia's new school arts companies, led by Maria and Iwan. They are known for taking on hot topics about conflict and inclusion and encouraging regional engagement and cross-cultural dialogue. Our international guests, Mela Yasma and Nindito Adipurnomo, founded Cemeti Art House in Indonesia. They work extending the role of creative professionals in society. And for them, art is not only about producing objects to show, but to make art in which the public and you can take an active part. Our amazing keynote, Genevieve Greaves, is a Koori woman from New South Wales. Her work includes filmmaking for SBS's First Australians and lead curator for Bunjalaka, the Aboriginal Cultural Centre at Museum Victoria. Jen's work, shaping complex stories, is leading our Australian storytelling today. And we can soar with one of Australia's best directors, Lindy Hume from Opera Queensland, an advocate of international leadership and excellence in regional arts. Lindy is recognised for fresh interpretations of organisations, including the Sydney Festival and the Perth International Arts Festival. Now, beyond the keynotes, we are putting together an unforgettable experience for all of you. The program of Arts and Edges is all in easy walk, so you and your friends can get around independently, safely, with a variety of mobilities. Aboriginal arts and culture with us all the way, from the welcome to country to the closing ceremony. The highlights include Dahlia Pigram of Marageku, the Western Desert Kidney Health Project, sand tracks, talks by Indigenous leaders, and an Aboriginal art market. Gary Cooper is our Aboriginal creative producer. Showcasing work from all across regional WA as a focus, and we are proud to announce that we will be featuring a work by Dada, which builds connection WA FIFO connected communities. It's titled 5 and includes epic digital work by Craig Walsh, sculpture by Hiromi Tango, Alex Mickle and Nicole Mickle. And Arts and Edges has partnered with Art Gold to support 3 homegrown Kalgoorlie Boulder hyperlocal projects. We have The Burning. It's a creative history with WA's Black Swan Theatre and Stage Left Theatre of Boulder. We have Fossick's Art to Go, a twilight market pictured featuring local art and craft works for sale. And of course, Under a Red Sky, a musical visual experience from the Red Heart of Australia by Lynn Hazelton, Lorraine Coffin and Ange Leach. We are showcasing work from right across Western Australia. From the tropical north comes Gudia Gudia by Marageku and Stalker with Dahlia Pigram. It's named for the broom shorebird. The shorebird calls at the turning of the tide. And then there's Spare Parts Puppet Theatre.
The idea for the work came from the lack of stories about regional Australia and those stories being presented to young people. And I felt that the stories from regional Western Australia, which is very typical of Australia, are important stories that are part of our cultural fabric and part of the emotional intelligence in the development of young people.
That's a rural story about celebrating running through the fields and doing bombies into the dam. And we also have Solace and Yearning, a work by Annette Carmichael. This is exploring our longing to connect to the natural world and all of our shared history in this land. That's Woolarara Creative from the Nganatdara lands, and we also have woodworking and weaving from Junjunjara. Gascoyne Physical Theatre sending us flying with whale sharks and other circus delights, whilst Arts Narrogin sharing a wild installation of textile flowers. And from right here in Kalgoorlie Boulder comes a sumptuous vintage musical theatre from the Goldfields Repertory Club. Now, as well as great art, there are lots of different ways to be inspired and experience new ideas. Have you got an arts emergency? What about an arts fitness plan for you? Come in and get triaged into the right support for you and see your arts practice get powered up. This is a one-stop shop for all of your burning questions. You can find that special advice you need from specialist experts. And we have asked people from right across Australia, what would you like people to make and do with you? And they have responded. They have responded with workshops, with excursions, and even more activities. Make and do is about making stuff. It's about doing stuff. It's about breaking things, crafting, moving and experiencing, tasting and touching. And of course, we will be discussing ideas and case studies about regional arts from right across the country through a series of panels and Sum It Up 2020 sessions. These are opportunities to think your teeth into ideas and into stories. And for people who want to program rather than be programmed, a team of special agents will enable everyone with an idea, a topic and a convener to present their own summit session. On this Saturday, we are presenting a public arts and cultural festival. It's open and it's accessible to everyone, including you. Meet the people of Kalgoorlie Boulder and the Goldfields. And you can even join the final scene of filming KB Vid, an epic lip-sync video by local movers and shakers. So this is all a lot to take in, isn't it? But don't worry, throughout the summit, Arts and Edge's food masters, I'm looking at you, Don Hansey, will be making all of our food local and fresh from the air, the lands, the seas and the fires of WA. We know that the arts sector marches on their stomachs. Now, before and after Arts and Edges, there are chance of a lifetime voyages. Ride the rails, smell the wildflowers, feel a salt lake under your feet at the Gormleys, hear the desert finches, taste the tucker and smell thunderclouds out on the vast horizons. It's a chance to experience Big Sky Australia. So I'm really happy to invite you to join us, to step across the edge, to get a piece of the action, and to return home with a vision of the arts. Come for the illuminating keynotes, the space to think, the people to meet, and you will be surprised by the elegance of the place, inspired by the power and the diversity of Australian regional arts. You will be boosted by the opportunities to make connections, and you will feel recharged for the next 2 years. Take a moment to pause, to share our successes, and to think on the future. Come to Arts and Edges to become part of the future of arts and culture in regional Australia.